So kind of, can you give us just like an overview of the program? Is it group counseling? Is it individual counseling? If a patient says, or if a potential customer says, tell me about
I'm ready to jump on the health plan.
I'm ready. What is it?
What's the plan? What's the walkthrough? How often are the cooking classes?
Yeah, it's actually, we've been really busy the last 3 or 4 months. Like I've got 2 new ones this week. So it's a 12-week program. It starts out there. We plan on them meeting with me. I'm the health coach, mostly because it's a pharmacist-led lifestyle and weight management program. That's what I actually am doing. I don't think it has to be the pharmacist completely, but it has to be pharmacist-led in my world. But I haven't let go of it because I love the clinical aspect and I love interacting with people. So every 2 weeks, people come and visit. And it's actually what I tell them is what we're doing was we're correlating these changes to what's going on in their body. And we measure the body in different ways, lots of different ways. I've got a body composition machine. Yep. I've got a tape measure. I've got all these different things that I use. But more than that, I'm actually training them to listen to their body, because actually you're the only one that really knows what's going on in that machine, that unique machine you've got. So what I train them is to listen and be a little bit better reporter. And then we're actually co-researchers really on this whole process. And so every 2 weeks for the 12 weeks, we're going to be engaging in conversations and strategies. I coach people on a modified Mediterranean approach. Why? It's the one that has people live longer. Now, everybody's different. So what I find is we have to modify almost every time off of that. The modification is a low glycemic approach. So we've got everybody who has prediabetes. About 80% of the people are having some level of insulin resistance. So I approach it from the fact that everybody walking into my pharmacy could benefit, myself included, from an insulin resistant type of an approach. It's one-on-one. It's very customized, very personalized, very therapeutic relationship. And I do have group events. So I've had group events like potlucks. I've had group events, cooking demos. I've got group events like one this weekend. I've been doing a hormone balance seminar for about 8 years now. And I've got one coming up this weekend where I give them the fundamentals of how their body works. And sometimes when they see that, they get some aha moments of, that browser's up on my computer. That browser's up. Maybe I can get some of those to turn off. So I start empowering them to actually take some of the actions. Because what a pharmacist knows, what a patient knows, isn't the game. It's what you're able to routinely implement that is actually what causes the shift, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I've figured out, and trust me, people have been yelling at me for my program for a long time. I had spent the last couple of years trying to figure out what am I actually doing that creates the results. A lot of it is the connection, but a lot of it is a different strategy than what has traditionally been out there. And the other piece that pharmacists are uniquely can bring to the table is the whole impact of drugs on this whole system.
Yeah, right.
Let me tell you, they're messing it up. It could be said that a lot of the obesity that is showing up in our society is secondary to medications. I firmly believe that, really? And we're not being responsible as the health industry that we've actually created some of these problems.
Huh. So, what would be one of your favorite patient success stories that you sell, or that you share? I mean, but also kind of sell of, hey, this is.
Well, I've got lots of testimonials. He's got some more, and they're all humbling, incredibly humbling, and as are the Google reviews. But I don't really sell to patients based on that. I actually ask them what they want, and then I actually see if this might be a program that can help them get what they want. But I have had some incredible journeys. I had this one lovely woman I've known her for 30 years. So she's definitely one of my long-term patients, but I hadn't seen her in about the last 15 years. And she came in and she said, Kathy, I retired. I've been a high pressured accountant. I just can't get this weight off. And she's like, I grow my own food. I pickle my own food. I know organic. I eat really well, but I can't get this food off. And so in our conversation, she mentioned that she had pain and she mentioned that she had balance issues. And what I say about pain is people say no pain, no gain. I say, if you're in pain, you'll gain, right?
Oh,
Pain is like 10 people yelling at you all the time to the nervous system, and it will definitely shut down some ancillary biochemistry so that you can tolerate, and deal with the pain. So in her case, I referred her to a colleague who could help potentially with those issues. And I do that where I think necessary. And she came back and she told me the story about when she went to my friend who was a chiropractor, physical therapist. Within a minute, he said, what did you do in this part of the back? And she said, well, when I was 9, I had a basketball accident and I couldn't walk for 4 months.
Holy moly.
Wow.
Yeah. And then she said, well, it was kind of over the summer, so I just started getting up and started really pushing myself to walk again. And he said, I think this is part of your balance issue. So he adjusted her and she lost 4 pounds that week. And it was remarkable. But what it was is her body was having to spend a ton of that energy keeping her upright, right? And so she wasn't able to utilize that energy because it was she had a high demand from that dysfunction. And so it was like, wow, I had no clue, but I just had an instinct that there was something fundamentally going on. And what was interesting and is I asked her one more question in this. I was really excited about that. I asked her, I said, what had you get up at 9 years old and push yourself to start walking again? And she said to me, I thought my parents would send me away.
Oh, no.
I thought I was too much trouble for them.
Oh, no.
So there's another piece to obesity and weight is early trauma, right? And so as a 9-year-old in her brain, she was afraid, right?
Right.
And her body, what we know about trauma and early trauma and adverse childhood experiences, that it literally sets the physiology up for a certain manifestation. And unless you can identify that, unless you can acknowledge that, it just works underneath the surface on you. And so we talked about that a bit. And she's like, whoa. And so I saw her, she probably completed about 5 months ago. And I saw her like last week. She said, I got my life back. Okay. So there's no one size fits all. We're all so unique. And what I've done is created a personalized approach, an empowerment approach to help patients understand and navigate health. Because here's one other thing. I fundamentally believe, really to my core, no one wants to be sick and no one wants to be fat.
I think pretty fair.
You think that's fair?
I think that's pretty fair.